Hi, my name is Mike Torres with MTI Education, and I want to welcome you to this incredible training called the Ultimate Probate Real Estate System. This system is being used by thousands of people across this country, closing tens of thousands transactions. So it's really exciting for me to share this information with you. A little bit about my background. I have a degree in real estate and finance, and I also hold my teaching credentials with the state of California. I was a former teacher many years ago. So I have two of my passions, which is education and real estate, and I decided to combine them, and that's how MTI Education was born. So it's really an incredible journey, and I really love it. It's pretty cool, guys, by the way. So with that said, I've gone, I'm like everybody else, guys. So I made money and lost it all. I made money, I lost it all. Twice in my life, I ended up, losing pretty much everything that I built. But every time something goes wrong, it's a great time to learn. It's a great time. There's a lesson being taught. And so the last time when I was going through some challenging times, I went to my mentor. By the way, mentors are phenomenal. If you don't have one, you need to get a mentor. They're really good. These are the people that push you to the next level. So I went to my mentor and I said, I'm struggling. These are my problems. And he says, you know what? I really want you to focus on some learning more about personal development, Mike. Have you read books? And I go, yeah, I'm not, reader. I'm okay. I'm more of an audio learner. He goes, well, the audio books. So, but let me give you some great books that you can actually tap into and learn about this information. So I figured, okay, what do you got? And he says, well, the first book that I want you to read is called Think and Grow Rich, and by Napoleon Hill. Great book. Oh my God, it really opened my eyes. This is a story of this young man back in the 1920s, mid-20s, and he was approached by Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew told him, I said, look, I have a project. If you want to do this, you're not going to get paid for a long time, but it's an incredible project. So they talk about the project, and he asked Napoleon, he said, are you interested? He says, okay, what is exactly that I'm going to do? He said, well, you're going to study the most successful people over times. And Napoleon said, okay, so where do I start? He said, well, you're going to start with me. So Napoleon began to study Andrew Carnegie, learning about what were the philosophies that he was applying to his own success. Once he finished learning with him, then he went on to the next one. Andrew Carnegie, then you got Thomas Edison, King Gillette, and the list went on and on. So this is a collection of learning from all these successful people, and he put it all together, and he was ready to let it out to the public. And Andrew says, well, not yet. I don't think you want to do this. People are not ready to listen to this. So he says, what do you want me to do? He says, why don't you create something that's a little bit more diluted. It's a little bit easier to understand, so the public they don't get so overwhelmed with it. And that's how Think and Grow Rich was born. However, all those original studies didn't go to waste. He actually eventually released all those studies by a book called The Law of Success, also by Napoleon Hill. So if you wanted to read the original studies of this incredible journey that he did in his 20s and 30s, it's called The Law of Success. This is an incredible book. So I'm just, this is what my mentor introduced me. He says, start with this one, Think and Grow Rich. Let me know what you think of it. And I fell in love with. Ever since that moment, I began to apply all these philosophies that they were taught through these books. So my goal, let me tell you how bad it was. And the second time that I lost my wealth, I was negative $3.5 million. It was pretty bad. And my goal was to make it to zero. I wanted to finish and take care of my stuff. I go, man, if I can just go to zero. So some people were like, well, I'm down, I'm down to, let's say you're down, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000. I'm thinking, no, mine was 3.5. So I had to figure a way to get out of here. And I began to apply these philosophies, and I just went up to climb the ladder. My goal was zero. I made it to zero. So at that point, I was like, okay, once a mind expandable will never contract. That's one thing. So once you have a certain habit, you continue applying those habits. That's how you continue growing. And all of a sudden I realized, okay, I made it to zero. Now I'm on the positive. No, let's keep going. Let's just not stop. And that's how I got out that big, dark financial moment, but I kept thriving. And today I still apply the same philosophies. I went as far as sharing these books with my kids. When my kids were young, when they're middle school, now they're young adults. But when they were in middle school and I say, oh, read this book, and my daughter was like, really? You know, because I'm always talking about Think and Grow Rich, and I'm always talking about the philosophies, you know, building good partnerships, make sure that every partner wins. We talk about the mindset, you know, all these different topics that this book brings to. And they were like, okay, Dad, okay, so let me read it. But today, now they're finishing their college life, and they're starting their regular working life, and they apply those philosophies, and not because they're my kids, they're thriving. So I'm just sharing these books that have completely changed the way I think, because everything is created in the mind. Whatever you create in your mind, that's what's going to actually develop to become a reality. So very powerful. So Think and Grow Rich is a great book. The Law of Success are the original studies. And then you have another one, another book is called Influence by Robert Cialdini. This is another great book. One of my mentors, not only a friend of mine, approached me one day and said, hey, Mike, have you read Influence? And I'm like, no. I said, it's a great book. I said, what is it about? He said, it's about the 5 most powerful influence skills that you can use, especially that you're in sales. And I go, well, yeah. So I read this book, and boy, what an eye-opening. You know, for example, the first one of the first success that he talks about, one of the first techniques in this influence book is the law of reciprocation. So he's saying if you give something, people want to reciprocate back, and I realized that's how it works. So this is when we're in sales. In sales, you always have something to give. That's called the value. You know, you create a value package, something that is important to the person you're trying to sell or to service. And so I read the book, and the first thing that I did is like, from now on, I'm going to start giving this little free ebook with education about probate real estate. And I'm going to give this thing for free. And people were like, are you crazy? Why are you giving it for free? And I said, because that's how we're going to empower people. And the moment I started doing that, giving this little ebook, you might probably receive the ebook, and the moment we start giving this ebook away, people were like, now, you know, how do we get more information? I want to learn more about this. And all of a sudden, people begin to register more and more for these trainings. And that's how we're able to enjoy the journey of teaching them and empowering the real estate community. So it's a little book that definitely just made a huge change in my life. Another book that I really like is called Creating Magic. And the author, I believe, is Lee Cockerell. And I'm a huge Disney fan. So if you're a Disney fan, I'll see you. I'll see you in Disneyland because I love it. My kids grew up with Disney. Actually, my daughter, who just recently graduated from college, went on to work for Disney, so it's exciting. And I was at Disney World one day, again, looking at books, because it's really simple, guys. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. Everything is already there. The books are so powerful. And so I found this book. It's called Creating Magic. And I'm reading the cover and the back of the book, and it talks about customer service. One of the things that I respect so highly for, especially the Disney company, is how much detail they put into everything that they do. They're so detail-oriented, and this is why I keep coming back for those experiences, you know, whether it's a Disney cruise, whether it's in a Disney resort, whether it's just a Disney park. So it's just the attention to detail, and Lee explains in the book how they approach customer service. And guys, we are in the customer service business. That's what we do. We're here to educate our clients, empower them, make sure that they get everything they need to the destination they want to reach out, whether it's to buy a house or whether it's to sell the property. That's what we're doing here, okay? Another little quick book. This will take a couple hours to read. It's called Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer. And I found this book. I think he was one of my mentors, if I remember, Tony. Actually, he says, hi, read this book. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And I said, what is it about? I'm always asking people before I read a book, what is it about? Because I want to know that whatever I'm putting in my mind is good stuff. Because whatever is in my mind, that's what's going to project in the future in reality. So I have to be very careful of what I'm putting in my head all the time. And this is a story about these 2 mice. They live in a maze. And there was a train station within the maze where they were sitting there. They found this train station full of cheese. and they're sitting there enjoying the eating. They're just kind of basically kicking back. And one day the cheese was gone. And so one of the mouse got up and told the other, "Hey, we gotta go." It's like, "What do you mean we gotta go?" I go, "Yeah, the cheese is gone." So the guy said, "Wait, no, don't worry about it. They'll put it back. Just sit down, relax. They'll come back." And he says, "No, we have to move." And so the one that keeps saying it's okay, they're gonna put it back, he stayed behind. The other one who said we gotta move, he put his shoes back on and he just started walking down this maze. And he kept going, slowly, but eventually he got to another train station, which was full of cheese and even better cheese. So the guy who didn't move stayed behind, and the cheese never came back. The guy, the mouse that moved to this new location, it was the one always moving. So the moral of the story is really simple. It's when things are changing, if you don't change, you get stuck in there. You constantly got to be moved. And so it's really important to always keep your eyes open and be open to changes, because life is full of changes, guys. And that is what I've been through in my own personal life. Like I said, I've been successful financially. I have lost it all. And I have gone through life just like you guys. I lost my father when he was 49 years old. So I understand what it's like to be on the other side of probate. So there's just, I'm just another guy walking on this earth. And my journey, my joy is coming from educating and empower you. And I hope you guys will see this as we go through this training. And like I said, there are some people live streaming, so there'll be some questions coming in. I'll share those questions with all of you, my viewers. And there's a lot of great stuff coming up. Okay, so be ready. And let's see. There is one more book. This is a good one for you to have in your probate library. It's called "Who Gets Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate" by Marlene Stum. It's a great book. It's a study. I believe it's by the University of Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, my apologies, but that's the title, "Who Gets Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate?" And it's basically, it talks about personal property being distributed among family members and the dynamic that happens between them. So this is a book. Let me just give you some ideas. I'm always thinking of marketing ideas, because business is all about marketing. Believe me, I had many businesses in my life, and there had been a couple of businesses that were really good ideas, but the marketing was horrible. So I knew how good the product was, but nobody knew about the product. And so these are lessons that I learned over the years. Today, marketing, I see how important it is and we'll go over marketing on section 6 of the training. But just, this is one book that, for example, let's say you're talking to a potential executor or administrator, and they're talking about having some challenges with, personal property, what to do with it. This is what I will say. I say, you know what? I have this great book. It's called Who Gets Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate. It talks about personal property. I think it will be good for you to read, so it will give you some ideas and suggestions on how to handle the personal property to the estate. I can swing by, I can just drop it off at your place, and you can keep it for a week or so, and then I'll pick it up later on. Would that be all right with you? See, what you're doing is you're creating value for the person. So I said, yeah, drop it off. So you can drive to where they're located, shake hands, introduce yourself, drop the book, and I say, I'll be back next week. So now you have your follow-up set up. And that's how we can use some of this information. And again, it's all about educating and creating value for your clients. All right, so that's a little bit about my story, who I am, where I'm coming from. And wait, hold on, there's one more book before I forget. And the last one, this is another good one that you want to put in your probate library. It's called The Executor's Guide: Settling a Loved One's Estate or Trust by M. Randolph J.D. That's another great book. And the reason why I think it's a fantastic book is because people are going to ask questions. And remember, you cannot give any legal advice. So instead of giving advice, you can say, I got a book that might have the answer to your questions, or I can refer you to an attorney. So, and then again, you use the book as a tool to set up your follow-up, because it's all about follow-up. It's about keeping the conversation going with the executor or the administrator. So I think that's the last one. I'm looking at my screen, making sure, because I have my my computer in front of me, making sure that all the books that I wanted to mention are there. And that's my last one. So, guys, I am so looking forward to working with you. If you have any questions before I go to section 1, I want to make sure that you guys hear this. You might have your PDF file on you working with in terms of your training manual. You can just use your PDF file, or if you want to use actually the hard copy paper, print the manual and just get a 3-ring binder like I have in front of me, as you guys can see, and have all your information with you. I'm a little old school. My daughter will say, "Oh gosh, Dad, you don't have to print this anymore." So is my son. But I'm like, I still like, my books. But that's just my style. Nowadays, the technology is so advanced. So whatever it is, make sure you have the information in front of you. And as I go through each individual section, you'll be able to take notes. And again, those who of you are live streaming, at the end of each section, I will answer the questions you guys will have, and I'll read it so all my viewers will be able to listen to the conversation. So with that said, this is let's go to the next section. So I'll see you in section 1.